What if the healthiest flour in history quietly disappeared from our kitchens? Bakers, chefs, even food scientists switched overnight, and for decades, no one questioned it. So why did this legendary flour get left behind, and could it really be better than wheat? Let's see why everyone's suddenly talking about it again. Wait, sorghum flour is older than wheat and somehow way more underrated. Imagine a grain so old that ancient Egyptians ground it before wheat had its big moment, yet today hardly anyone talks about it. That grain? Sorghum. Archaeologists have traced sorghum's story back over 8,000 years to the dusty plains of Sudan, where it fed generations before empires even rose. What made early farmers reach for this tiny seed? Simple: resilience. Sorghum survives drought, shrugs off punishing heat, and grows in poor soil where wheat gives up. In India, it's known as jowar, starring in Rotus centuries before European bread loaves took center stage. African legends even link sorghum to ancestral rituals. Entire villages relied on its harvest to mark the year's fortunes. Sorghum wasn't just food, it was insurance. When wheat failed, sorghum held the line, nourishing millions from China's river valleys to Ethiopia's highlands.
Historically, sorghum is one of the world's most indispensable foods, with a storied past.
A 2,000-year-old Chinese poem calls sorghum the patient mother of the hungry, hinting at its status in times of scarcity. But here's the twist. As trade boomed and wheat spread, sorghum slowly vanished from royal kitchens and urban bakeries. Industrial mills craved uniformity. Sorghum, with its stubborn personality, got pushed aside. Even though it ruled as a staple in Africa and India, colonial tastes began to dictate what grains were fashionable. By the 20th century, wheat had won the branding war, and sorghum faded to a background player. However, its ancient genes kept a few loyal followers, especially in Nigeria, where over 60% of the rural population still cooks with it. They knew something the rest of the world forgot, a secret we're about to rediscover. Next up, why does this village grain actually outperform modern wheat flour, quietly, on almost every front? How this humble village grain quietly outperforms modern wheat flour. Picture a field battered by drought, heat waves turning crops to dust. Wheat shrivels, but sorghum stands tall. Scientists studying global food security call sorghum the camel of grains, thanks to its low water needs and tenacious roots. It can yield food where wheat won't even sprout. In fact, when Australia faced one of its worst droughts in 2019, sorghum saved livestock and rural communities while wheat crops failed by over 40%. How does it pull this off? Sorghum's secret weapon is its genetics. Unlike wheat, it produces a waxy coating that locks in moisture and resists pests. No wonder it feeds 500 million people across Africa and Asia, even as climate change threatens farmland. In Nigeria, sorghum makes up nearly a third of all cereal consumption, powering laborers through 12-hour workdays. Without sorghum, our kitchens are empty, says Hausa farmer Amina Lawal, whose family tradition goes back generations. It's this connection to the land, ancient, rooted, reliable, that wheat, despite its fame, can't quite replicate. But performance goes beyond just resilience. Sorghum flour keeps longer than whole wheat, because its natural oils resist rancidity. Traditional African breweries love it for another reason. It ferments beautifully, lending complexity to beers that wheat can't match. Even NASA took note. In 1988, they sent sorghum into space to test sustainable food systems for astronauts. The results? Sorghum thrived. Now, with global wheat prices swinging wildly and climate extremes rising, chefs and farmers are quietly returning to sorghum's promise. But what exactly makes it a nutrition powerhouse compared to wheat? That's the next surprising chapter. The surprise nutrition glow-up. Fiber, protein, and gut-loving goodness. There's a nutritional plot twist waiting behind every bag of sorghum flour, one most supermarket shoppers never see coming. Wheat flour, with all its global fame, actually lags behind sorghum in key nutrients. Let's break it down. 1 cup of sorghum flour delivers nearly 10 grams of protein, easily matching or beating standard all-purpose flour. But where sorghum really shines is fiber, more than double what wheat offers, at over 12 grams per cup. That's the sort of boost dietitians dream about. What does all this fiber mean for your body? For starters, slower digestion and steadier blood sugar. A 2016 study in Nutrients Journal found that sorghum's unique fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria, promoting smoother digestion and long-term metabolic health. And then there's the antioxidant factor. Sorghum brims with polyphenols, giving it a subtle red, brown, or black hue. These natural chemicals combat inflammation and may reduce risk of chronic diseases, according to research from the University of Nebraska. Sorghum is also a champion for those sensitive to gluten, completely safe for celiac sufferers. It allows bread lovers back into the kitchen without fear. Dr. Alessio Fasano, a global authority on gluten, called sorghum one of the safest ancient grains for the modern table. And here's an unexpected bonus. Sorghum's micronutrient profile outshines wheat with higher levels of iron, magnesium, and B vitamins. That means more energy, stronger bones, and healthier nerves in every serving. However, nutrition facts don't always tell the whole story. How does sorghum actually taste, and why do some people think it's just another bland health fad? That's where we go next, and the answer might surprise you. But does it actually taste good, or is this another health fad trap? The real question most curious eaters ask isn't about protein or fiber, it's about flavor. Could a grain so healthy actually tempt your taste buds, or is it doomed to be another sacrifice for health? Imagine biting into a warm, homemade sorghum pancake. What do you taste? Slightly nutty, mild sweetness, and a gentle earthiness that plays well with honey, berries, or savory toppings. Chefs like Anissa Halou, celebrated for her exploration of Middle Eastern grains, rave about sorghum's quiet, toasty character. In fact, Indian street vendors have served up jowar bhakri, sorghum flatbread, with spicy curries for centuries, and there's a reason lines form at their stalls. However, the myth of blandness hangs around. That's because sorghum's flavor can vary. White varieties taste almost neutral, while red or black types have stronger wine-like undertones. The difference is in the preparation. Traditional African cooks toast the flour before baking, which deepens its flavor and brings out hidden notes. In the southern United States, where sorghum syrup was once a kitchen staple, biscuits made with sorghum flour won county fair ribbons for their sweet molasses aroma. Of course, the wrong recipe can make any flour taste dull. Modern food scientists are rediscovering that a touch of fermentation or a blend with other grains unlocks sorghum's best qualities. Curious home bakers on Instagram now share hacks, like using sorghum flour for cookies, brownies, or even pizza dough, all with rave reviews. Even celebrity chef Jamie Oliver championed it in a recent series, calling it the comeback kid of the ancient grains. But what about real-world recipes? Which dishes let sorghum shine, sneaking into daily life with flavor and flair? That's what we'll explore in the next chapter. From flatbreads to pancakes, how sorghum sneaks into everyday recipes. A flour this ancient has more than a few tricks up its sleeve, showing up in kitchens from Ethiopia to Texas. Ever wonder how people who never touch wheat manage fluffy pancakes, hearty breads, or even pasta? The answer often lies in sorghum. In rural Maharashtra, India, villagers still gather at dawn to roll out hundreds of soft, steaming bhakris, round, unleavened flatbreads cooked on open fires. Each bite carries the mild sweetness of sorghum, perfect for scooping up spicy dal or yogurt. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, tuwo, sorghum porridge, fills schoolchildren's lunchboxes, fueling them for the day with slow-release energy. The magic of sorghum doesn't end with tradition. In the American South, enterprising bakers have revived century-old recipes for sorghum pancakes, swapping out all-purpose flour for a gluten-free, fiber-rich twist. Even Italian foodies have started experimenting, rolling fresh pasta dough with sorghum flour. Result, pasta with a nutty, robust depth that rivals classic semolina. And here's a fun twist. Sorghum popcorn. Whole sorghum grains can be popped just like corn, creating tiny, crunchy snacks loved by kids and adults alike. In Ethiopia, home brewers mix sorghum flour with teff for injera, the iconic spongy bread that anchors every meal. Recipe bloggers gush about how sorghum flour blends with almond or oat flour to make chewy cookies or soft sandwich loaves, all without a hint of wheat. Every culture that touches sorghum finds a way to adapt it, often passing recipes down for generations. This flexibility keeps sorghum relevant, even as global tastes shift and diets change. But how do bakers make it work, especially for gluten-free recipes where texture is everything? That's the secret skill we'll unlock in the next section. Gluten-free without the sad texture. Why bakers are eyeing sorghum now. Anyone who's tried gluten-free bread knows the usual heartbreak: dense, crumbly, dry. Yet sorghum flour manages to dodge this stereotype, producing baked goods with surprising softness and bounce. How does it pull off this culinary magic trick? Food technologists have discovered that sorghum's protein structure traps moisture better than most gluten-free grains, keeping breads and muffins tender. The result is often indistinguishable from wheat, reports Serious Eats baker Stella Parks, who recommends a 50-50 blend of sorghum and tapioca flour for cookies that fool even picky kids. Curious why some gluten-free loaves fall apart while others hold together? The answer lies in sorghum starch. It gels smoothly, giving structure and rise without the heaviness of rice or potato flour. European pastry chefs, frustrated by flat cakes, now import sorghum for its dependable crumb. Even major food brands are catching on. Bob's Red Mill and King Arthur Baking both feature sorghum in their flagship gluten-free blends. Bakers praise its mild flavor and fine grind, which combine for cakes that slice cleanly and pastries that keep for days without going stale. And the best part? Sorghum brings more nutrition to the table than most gluten-free alternatives. No need to compromise. Recent studies show that sorghum bread keeps you fuller longer thanks to all that protein and fiber. For families dealing with allergies, it offers peace of mind and endless baking possibilities. Still, if sorghum is so versatile and tasty, why did it ever fall out of favor in the first place? The answer is tangled up in global trade, changing technology, and unexpected turns in culinary history. If sorghum flour is so great, why did we all stop using it anyway? The fall of sorghum is a food story filled with drama, economics, and a bit of culinary snobbery. For thousands of years, sorghum reigned across Africa, India, and China. But as European powers expanded their empires, wheat became the preferred grain, mainly because it made fluffy, yeasted bread, which symbolized wealth and refinement. Industrial mills needed grains that behaved predictably on fast-moving machines. Wheat fit the bill, while sorghum's sturdy hull and complex starches slowed production lines. Then came government subsidies. In the 20th century, countries from the U.S. to Australia poured billions into wheat farming, lowering prices and flooding markets. Suddenly, wheat flour was cheaper than ever. Global tastes shifted, too. Urban families wanted modern food, which meant white bread over traditional flatbreads. By the 1970s, sorghum fields shrank in India and Africa, and wheat became the king of pantries. But that's not the whole story. Sorghum also struggled from an image problem called poor man's wheat in India and birdseed in America. It became shorthand for rural poverty and backwardness. Food advertising in the 1950s even mocked sorghum as old-fashioned, urging homemakers to upgrade to white bread and processed cereals. Yet, as health crises mount and climate shocks hit wheat crops, governments and food brands are quietly bringing sorghum back. The United Nations now includes it in food security plans, and chefs celebrate its rustic charm and adaptability. But can modern cooks really bring sorghum back to family tables without anyone noticing the swap? That's the tasty challenge of our final section. Simple ways to swap wheat for sorghum without freaking out your family. Ready for a kitchen experiment? You can swap wheat for sorghum in most recipes, and here's the kicker, your family may never notice. Start with pancakes or muffins, blending sorghum flour half and half with your regular mix. The result? Lighter texture and subtle flavor, with zero gluten guilt. For bread, use sorghum alongside potato or tapioca starch. This combo brings stretch and softness that rivals classic loaves. Parents in Texas report their kids can't tell when chocolate chip cookies switch to sorghum. In Ethiopia, home cooks swear by injera pancakes made with 100% sorghum for feasts and daily meals alike. And if you love pasta, sorghum flour pairs with eggs and a pinch of xanthan gum for springy, satisfying noodles. There's also a world of savory dishes waiting. Use sorghum to thicken stews, dredge chicken, or add crunch to homemade crackers. For every dish you swap, you gain fiber, protein, and the pride of reviving a lost food tradition. Your gut will thank you, and your dinner guests just might ask for seconds. Here's a fun fact. Sorghum is even used to brew gluten-free beers in South Africa, where local breweries report soaring demand. Each creative swap opens new flavor possibilities, connecting today's kitchens with thousands of years of resilience and resourcefulness. So, next time you reach for wheat flour, pause and give this ancient, overlooked grain a well-deserved second look. The journey from forgotten staple to family favorite might just start with your next meal. And just like that, we're out of time. But this story's bigger than a single video. There are still questions left, twists waiting, and surprises just around the corner. So, if you're ready to go even deeper, click the next episode. Because with every story we share, there's always more to explore. See you there.